Hello everyone. Today I will start class 7 Civics chapter number 1 on equality. In this chapter we are going to learn about equality in India with the help of 3 different stories. Story of Kanta, who is a domestic helper. Story of Om Prakash Valmiki, who was a famous Dalit writer. And the story of Ansaris, who were in search of rented flat. After that, we will learn about equality in Indian democracy. What does Indian Constitution say about equality? And in the last, we will learn about issues of equality in other democracies with special reference to USA. Let's begin this chapter with the story of Kanta, the domestic helper. Kanta and her friend Sujata were in the queue to cast their votes. While talking to her friend Sujata, Kanta observed that people, irrespective of their caste, religion, education, and income background, they all were standing in the queue waiting for their turn to cast their votes. She was amazed with the fact that they all were treated as equal citizens of the country while casting their votes. She even surprised to see Ashok Jain, who was her employer, in the queue. While casting the vote, Kanta's observation was correct because we live in a democratic country where all adults, irrespective of what religion they belong to, how much education they have had, and what caste they are, or whether they are rich or they are poor, they all are allowed to vote. We have seen in the earlier slide that everybody has an equal right to vote, but who are allowed to vote? Here, the idea of universal adult franchise plays an important role. It is based on the idea of equality, whereby all the adults who are 18 years and above are allowed to vote, irrespective of their wealth or the community she or he belongs to. After casting her vote, Kanta told Sujata that her daughter Gudiya was not keeping well. She was running high fever, and for that she had to take her to the hospital, but before that she had to complete the work at Jain Sahab's place and even had to ask for some advance. Later on that evening, Kanta took her daughter for treatment. It was a government hospital. While standing, she realized that all the people who were in the queue for treatment were from similar background. While in the morning when she was casting her vote, she observed that all the people who were in the queue to cast their votes were from different backgrounds. This compelled her to think what equality really meant for her. Let's gather more information about Kanta. Kanta used to live in a slum and had a drain behind her house. Her daughter used to get sick every now and then. She couldn't take the day off from work. Her job as a domestic helper was tiresome. Kanta is one of many people who live in a democratic India and who have the right to vote, but whose daily living and working conditions are far from equal. Let's begin with the story of Om Prakash Valmiki. He was a famous Dalit writer. In his autobiography, Jutan, he wrote about several incidences of inequalities he faced during his school time. He wrote that he had to sit away from other students of the class, and that too on the floor. Sometimes he would have to sit way behind everybody right near the door. and even he was beaten up by the student of the class without any reason. He further added that when he was in class 6, his headmaster asked him to sweep the school and the playground. For the next couple of days, he continued to do so, and it came to an end when his father got to know about it. The tragic experiences of Om Prakash Valmiki throws the light on one of the most important inequalities in India, and that is the caste system. Om Prakash Valmiki belonged to a Dalit family. Dalit is a term that the so-called lower caste used to address themselves. Let's discuss the story of Mr. and Mrs. Ansari, who were in search of rented apartment. With the help of this story, we will come to know how people are treated differently on the basis of religion. Mr. and Mrs. Ansari were in search of rented apartment. They had the money, and so paying rent was not a problem for them. They visited the first apartment and really liked it and decided to meet the landlady. However, when the landlady found out their names, she made an excuse about how she could not rent the house to someone who ate meat because the building didn't have any non-vegetarian residents. Both the Ansaris and the property dealer were surprised to hear this because they could smell fish being cooked in the neighbor's house. The same excuse was repeated in the second and the third apartments. Finally, the property dealer told them that they might want to change their names and call themselves Mr. and Mrs. Kumar. The Ansaris were reluctant to do this and decided to look for some more house. We have understood now that the caste we are born into, the religion we practice, the class background we come from, whether we are a male or female, these are the often things that determine why some people are treated unequally. Om Prakash Valmiki and the Ansaris were being treated unequally on the basis of differences of caste and religion. When persons are treated unequally, their dignity is violated. The dignity of both Om Prakash Valmiki and the Ansaris was violated because of the way in which they were treated. The dignity of Om Prakash Valmiki was violated when he was asked to sweep the school. The Ansari's dignity was also hurt when persons refused to lease their apartment to them. However, when the property dealer suggested that they change their name, it was their dignity or self-respect that made them refuse this suggestion. Om Prakash and the Ansaris do not deserve to be treated like this. They deserve the same respect and dignity as anyone else. Now we will see what our Constitution has written about equality. The Indian Constitution recognizes every person as equal. This means that every individual in the country, including male and female persons from all the castes, religions, tribes, educational and economic backgrounds, are treated as equal. Every citizen of our country has got 6 fundamental rights. Right to equality from Article 14 to Article 18 is one of them. It lays stress on the following provisions. First, every person is equal before the law. Second, no person can be discriminated against on the basis of their religion, race, caste, place of birth, or whether they are male or female. Third, every person has access to all public places. Fourth, untouchability has been abolished. Let's see what is written in Article 15 of the Indian Constitution. It lays stress on prohibition of discrimination on grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth. It allows every citizen to access shops, public restaurants, hotels, places of public entertainment, or use of wells, tanks, bathing ghats, roads, resort maintained wholly or partly out of state funds. Let's see the steps taken by the government to implement the equality that is guaranteed in the Indian Constitution. Firstly, the government has introduced various laws to protect every person's right to be treated equally. Secondly, government has launched various programs or schemes to help disadvantaged communities. Launched several schemes to improve the lives of communities and individuals who have been treated unequally for several centuries. One of the path-breaking schemes is Midday Meal Scheme. Here, school-going children are provided with cooked lunch. Tamil Nadu was the first state in India to introduce this scheme. This scheme has a path-breaking benefits. It has resulted in increased enrollment and regular attendance of the student in the class. The dropout ratio is also minimized. As there was no interference from the home, students can now learn more. It helped in reducing caste inequality and gender discrimination. Regular intake of good food has also resulted in improvement of health of the students. While government programs play an important role in increasing equality of opportunity, there is much that still needs to be done. There continues to be big differences in our country between schools that the rich attend and those that the poor. One of the main reasons for this is that attitudes change very slowly. Even though we know that discrimination is against the law, we continue to treat people unequally on the basis of their caste, religion, disability, economic status, and because they are women. Now, let's see the issue of equality in other democracies with specific reference to USA. In many democratic countries around the world, the issue of equality continues to be the key issue around which communities struggle. Here, we will study the story of Rosa Parks and how she was discriminated against white people. After a day's work while returning on a bus, Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat to a white man. Her refusal that day started a huge agitation against the racial discrimination faced by African Americans, and it came to be known as the Civil Rights Movement. This agitation led to the implementation of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which prohibited discrimination on the basis of race, religion, or national origin. It also stated that all schools would be open to African American children and they would be no longer have to attend separate schools specially set up for them. The issues of equality is not just restricted to India. Other countries of the world are facing the same in one form or the other. Please like and subscribe the channel and don't forget to press the bell icon. Thank you.